Good afternoon and welcome to the session Smarter Cities, Why We Need Frugal Innovation for Urban Development. My name is Kevin and I'm Urban Innovation, Technologies and Digitalization Specialist with the new United Nations Development Program, UNDP. More precisely, I'm working on the Smart Cities and Urbanization workstream at UNDP's Global Center for Technology, Innovation and Sustainable Development, which is based in Singapore. This center is a collaboration between UNDP and the government of Singapore, leveraging the exciting digital and innovation ecosystem in the country. Before kicking off the presentation, I wanted to thank Hackster, as well as everyone involved in the organization of this year's Impact Summit, for giving us the opportunity to be part of such an exciting and timely event. Also, a big thanks to my colleague Callum for his support. Over the next 20 minutes, I will talk about smart cities and the risks of focusing solely on high technology solutions and why we need smarter cities. I will also talk about the key role frugal innovation can play, what frugal innovation actually means as a concept, and how it can help cities around the world to become more people-centered, resilient, and inclusive. We'll also look into some aspects on how an enabling environment for frugal innovation can be created. As you probably know, urbanization is one of the defining trends of our century. And urbanization is also a key driver for development. Currently, already 55% of the world's population are living or is living in cities, and this number is likely to rise. It is estimated that an additional 2.5 billion people will be living in cities by 2050. And this growth is happening mostly in secondary and smaller cities. Despite covering only 2% of the planet's surface, cities consume 75% of the total energy and account for 70% of CO2 emissions. At the same time, cities produce 80% of global GDP. So focusing on cities can have a huge impact on many people and on the environment. There is no single concept or definition of smart cities. The term smart city became synonymous with urban uses of technology and particularly advanced and emerging technologies. But cities are more than 5G, big data, driverless vehicles, or artificial intelligence. So when we focus on building smart cities in a technical sense, it risks turning cities and urban environments into technology projects. People become users and citizen stakeholders or subscribers. But cities are much more. They're crucial drivers of opportunity, prosperity, and progress. So truly smart cities recognize the ambiguity of lives and livelihoods, and they're driven by outcomes beyond the implementation of tech solutions. A more expansive concept of what a smart city is encompasses a wide range of urban innovations, which includes high-tech, low-tech, frugal innovations, and nature-based solutions. Singapore is often seen as the example of a smart city. It uses and explores high-tech approaches like drone deliveries, virtual reality modeling, artificial intelligence as lifeguards in public swimming pool. But there are other smart solutions. The city is very green and close to nature. Nature is built into skyscrapers and the urban environment. And also, there are many covered walkways which improve the livability for citizens during rainy and sunny days. And building a roof over a sidewalk is not particularly a very high-tech solution. Other examples of smart cities are the sponge cities across China, which are applying nature-based solutions to manage rainfall and floodwaters. But there are many other examples. Important is that where technology can play a role, it must be applied thoughtfully and holistically, taking into account the needs, realities, and aspirations of its citizens. the focus should always be on people, not on the technology as a solution. Because practically speaking, a vision of a tech-centric city is conceptually, financially, and logistically out of reach for many places. This is why and where frugal innovations can play a key role. So what are frugal innovations? Frugal innovations are products and services developed by local innovators. They're addressing needs of their community and often responding to specific needs of the underserved and marginalized. Frugal innovations try to solve pressing local challenges, so they're homegrown solutions. Sourcing information from the community to ground these solutions or innovations in a specific urban context, make them hyper-localized, and the community perspective is continuously taken into account. Frugal innovations are often simple, efficient, and affordable because they focus on core functionalities. Leveraging existing and locally available resources, often in a resource-constrained environment, is also one of the characteristics of frugal innovation. And they have the potential to be scaled up, either the innovation itself or across and between cities and countries. And subsequently, during the scaling process, very often more advanced technology can also be used. So as you can see, frugal innovations share many characteristics with social enterprises. So they both generate positive societal and environmental impact by reducing costs, addressing unmet needs, and creating benefits for their community. The difference between frugal innovation and social enterprises lays in their triggers. So social enterprise is triggered by social responsibility. So it's a mission that aims to achieve social economic goals and earn revenues at the same time. Frugal innovators, on the other hand, are mostly triggered by unmet needs that the innovators themselves often suffer from. In short, frugal innovations can reduce inequalities and poverty, create equal opportunities and inclusive markets for low-income and underserved customers. So just to give you two examples of frugal innovations. So during COVID and once lockdowns actually were a bit relaxed, it was observed that most communities in Nigeria don't have access to running water in their motor parks. Motor parks are the main transport hubs for any city in Nigeria, and it's the major contact point of people moving in, out, and around cities. So in this context, it was important to take adequate measures that allowed people to stay safe by keeping proper hygiene through washing their hands frequently, and as such, reduce the spread of the virus. So the solution was an automatic hand sensing water and soap tank for public places, which was using a small solar panel on the top and simple sensors. It was an innovation which was simple and at little cost. And it gave adequate access to frequent hand washing and safety hygiene to prevent the spread of the virus further without the need to touch anything. This solution was afterwards made public, so it's open source. And if I'm not mistaken, the entire costs were approximately $9 US. The other example I want to share with you is the one in Mexico. So several communities at the coast had problems with seaweed on beaches, which had to be cleaned and disposed. And a local innovator came up with the so-called sarga blocks. So it's a building block made from seaweed and organic materials, and is now used to build homes. So the sarga blocks are made out of 40% seaweed and 60% of other organic materials. The innovator adjusted the machine to build those bricks, And so to build those bricks and to process the seaweed and other organic materials. This machine can turn or create 1,000 blocks a day, which can be used for building houses after 4 hours baking in the sun. These Saga blocks cost around $7,000 to build an entire home. So as you can see, it's localized solutions using technology, high-tech, low-tech, but using the local context to address pressing needs. So the question is, how can these frugal innovations play a key role? Probably you're familiar with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, or the Agenda 2030. So these are the development goals the world set itself to be achieved by 2030. This year actually marks the midpoint of its implementation or rollout. And as you can imagine, or might imagine, the last progress report was not very positive. As you can see here on the graph, we're clearly off track to achieve the goals by 2030. And there was actually, for the first time ever, there was a regression due to the impacts of COVID on economies and livelihoods of many people around the world. So what is needed is not only a serious push from all actors, but we also need new and broader approaches. And we need to scale up the most impactful tools and toolkits available. The report mentions vastly untapped potential for science, technology, and innovation. It also mentions the need for increasing funding for grassroots innovations and the need for improved access to knowledge and opportunities. Looking at this, we think frugal innovation could have a key role in this process. So again, just a brief recap. Frugal innovations are solutions created by local entrepreneurs. They're created under resource-constrained environments, leverage existing technologies and infrastructure, and it's a new product or service that tackle a community challenge. So while looking at the opportunity to reimagine local conditions and addressing pressing challenges, frugal innovation contribute to the SDGs and the advancement of inclusive urban environments. So the relevance of frugal innovations for international development relates to several points. First of all, as already mentioned, they provide solutions for the SDGs. And actually, they could contribute to all 17 SDGs in order to support sustainable development more broadly. So if you look at this slide, here we showcase how these 17 SDGs are really cross-cutting issues in the urban space. So there's a lot of potential for frugal innovation to make a difference in urban environments. Since they arrive from a community need, they are affordable and utilize community-level information to drive design and operation. Frugal innovation has the potential to improve the lives and livelihoods of individuals and communities around the world. But it's not only about the innovation itself. So they contribute to building resilient communities that are confident in their indigenous knowledge and local capabilities. They provide access to low-income communities, as mentioned before. And also, these innovations are often embedding sustainability into their design, because innovators often minimize the use of resources. So they're repurposing and recycling a lot of materials. The affordability also grants them the potential to be scaled up and to develop devices that can be replicated over time and in other low-income settings, other cities and other countries. And frugal innovations can drive local innovation ecosystems. Innovators drive the design and the delivery of their solutions and approaches, but their efforts can and need to be further empowered by an ecosystem of stakeholders that can help to enable and accelerate growth. So it is important to look what is out there on the ground. By systematically identifying and diffusing frugal innovation. Overall, they seem small, but as a whole, they can have a huge impact on societies and on progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. It is important to create an enabling local environment by empowering individuals and the community as a whole to better understand and be part of innovations and of change. This could be, for example, opportunities for specialized learning, investments in incubators, in fabrication labs, in makerspace communities. It could also be about supporting micro and small enterprises. And of course, raising awareness and understanding among community members. The interaction of bottom up and top down processes is also important to foster an enabling environment that supports frugal innovation. Speaking about the top down approach, government has an important role to play when it comes to strategic guidance, policy changes, and policy shifts. This could, for example, include the government being seen as a customer in the local ecosystem by adjusting policies for better local procurement in order to tap into the local ecosystem. Partnerships to scale solution, either geographically or technically, are crucial as well as building a knowledge ecosystem with local, regional, and global actors. This could be governments, national or local governments, NGOs, CSOs, the academia, tech communities, as well as private sector or international organizations. Despite having very localized approaches, there is a huge potential for inspiration and cross-learning among frugal innovations and the frugal community, innovative community. And last but not least, funding and financing mechanisms are important. They provide resources and necessary support. As you probably know, money is often lacking in agile environments and especially agile origins of frugal innovation. So these mechanisms and instruments could help to overcome market failures, could address the often high initial costs and high risks, and could contribute to fostering an innovation ecosystem. Once funding is poured in into local and frugal innovations, it often attracts new partnership and new resources. So with only less than a decade of action left for achieving the SDGs, we need to look beyond business as usual. We need to accelerate our learning, and we need to find new mechanisms and approaches. And we need to look at solutions which have maybe not yet deserved the attention they should have. To build inclusive and sustainable urban environments, we need to focus on the interplay between different components of a city. The various communities, the local governments, the CSOs, and the private sector, and many others. Looking at smart cities, they are for sure relevant and important high-tech innovations, but we should not forget low-cost, low-tech innovations and nature-based solutions, which can have a huge impact on the ground and can make communities more resilient. So frugal innovations are small-scale and affordable, but they are designed and implemented across many communities across the planet, and they can help us to achieve resilience and sustainability and improve the lives of millions of people. So we must move beyond the fancy and newest smart city technologies and explore how our cities can be true platforms, not just technological ones, but for inclusive and sustainable development. The well-being of billions who call the world's cities home depend on it. I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you a nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.